The Persian Empire had been defeated by the Greeks in the Battle of Marathon, but Emperor Darius sought revenge and began to assemble the greatest army that the old world had seen up to that point. However, several uprisings within the Persian Empire postponed these plans. With the perishing of Emperor Darius, his son Xerxes assumed power and asphyxiated the rebellions in his empire. Now the emperor was free to put his father's plans into motion. 10 years had passed since the defeat at Marathon, but now the Persians had their mammoth army geared towards Greece. Under the command of Xerxes, a floating bridge connecting Asia to Europe was built so that the colossal Persian army could cross the Strait of the Dardanelles. At the army's vanguard, emissaries demanded the submission of Greek cities to the Persian Empire, offering them sparing if they accepted. The emissaries demanded an offering of land and water from the Greeks. After hearing what the emissaries had to say, the Spartans threw them into a pit and said they could have as much water as they wanted from down there. The Greeks gathered in the city of Corinth and constituted a great alliance to attempt to stop the Persian advance. The Athenians, commanded by Themistocles, would use their powerful fleet to fight the Persians by sea, whereas Leonidas, the king of Sparta, would lead the land troops and try to halt the Persians at the gates of fire at Thermopylae. However, the city of Sparta was celebrating Carneia, a religious feast that forbade belligerent activities during its course. Leonidas consulted the oracle of Delphi, which told him that only a sacrifice of a legitimate heir to the throne of Hercules could detain the fury of the son of Perseus. According to Greek mythology, the hero Perseus had many descendants, some of whom were the ancestors of the people later known as Persians. On the other hand, Hercules' descendants had ruled Sparta for several centuries already, and so Leonidas realized that his fate was to march against Xerxes. Unable to take his whole army with him, Leonidas handpicked 300 elite soldiers as his personal guard. On his way, he kept adding soldiers from other Greek cities. It is estimated that Leonidas managed to assemble an army of 7,000 soldiers from different backgrounds and led it toward the cliffs at Thermopylae. The Spartans positioned themselves near the gates of fire, a narrow strip of the cliff that would curb the numerical superiority of the Persian army. The gigantic Persian army was nearing with more than 300,000 soldiers. Xerxes sent an emissary to meet the Spartan king, proposing a unification between the Spartans and the Persians so they could rule the whole of Greece under the flagship of the Persian Empire. The Spartan king rejected Xerxes' proposal, and his emissary threatened him, saying, "Our arrows are so numerous that they will cover the whole sky." Leonidas replied, "Even better, we will fight in the shadows." The battle began, and the mighty Persian cavalry was borderline useless due to the wall of spears of the Greek phalanxes and the narrow space they had to maneuver. The pouring of arrows was intense, but the Greek shields made the attack ineffective. The Persians had no alternative but to send their infantry for one-on-one combat. The outstanding phalanx formed by the Spartans repelled the waves of Persian attacks, even defeating the division of personal soldiers known as the Immortals. Xerxes was being humiliated by a few Greeks. The Greek strategy was working amazingly, but the Spartans were betrayed by a Greek called Ephialtes, who told the Persians about the routes used by shepherds, which would give them the chance to bypass the Greek defense. Realizing that they would end up surrounded, Leonidas freed the remaining Greek soldiers to retreat in order to prevent a massacre. Leonidas, his loyal Spartan soldiers, and about 1,000 Greeks readied themselves for the final battle. The Greeks fought bravely, but could not prevent the massacre that followed. After the end of the battle, Xerxes impaled Leonidas's head on a stake and marched victoriously towards Athens. The Persian victory represented a high cost in terms of lives and resources, allowing the Athenians time to prepare themselves for the upcoming battle. Leonidas and his 300 Spartans became martyrs, and their heroic feats are still studied and celebrated.